Oh, Kira, treats. Who did? Kira, you're Ciara. You're Ciara, not Kira. What are they doing over here? Oh, shit.
They got handed to you.
I almost started class without doing treats today. Homemade, and then you put them in a...
That was good.
And then I put them in the box.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We got all the same kind, chocolate chips.
No, it's a variety.
It is a variety. We got. I'm a big fan of oatmeal raisins. Is there oatmeal raisin in that?
The gourmet cookie variety.
That's the correct answer. Oatmeal raisin.
That's an oatmeal raisin. I'd say.
Good. It's consistent.
Who wants to do treats next time? Connor's got treats on next Wednesday.
Get mine out of the way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Right here.
There we go.
No, you can't complain. Can't look at gift horse in the mouth. I'm like a second one of these. You brought him yourself. I know, but I'm calling dibs. Call the dibs up. Okay, so what we were talking about this time is user-defined functions. Okay, and we'll do an example of one in a second. But these things that come in super handy, like if you find yourself doing the same thing over and over and over and want some like tool to deal with. Like I said, I made a user-defined function that was format figures, and then because I did it all the time in all these different files, I created a figure. I wanted to set the font size to a certain size. I wanted to set the font type to something. I wanted to set the margins at something. Like I had the same thing, and so I created this user-defined function that no matter where I was at, no matter what I was coding, I could call in that function, and it would do the things, and it would output the figure, and I could use it in my dissertation, right? So or even if you're coding and you find yourself doing the same thing over and over and over, you may want to make a function, okay? And we could do this in MATLAB. You can either create it as its own .m file that has this same verbiage in it, and you could put it in a certain spot, either in the current directory, or I'll show you later. You can point MATLAB to where it can find all these user-defined functions, and then you could go that route. The way that they work is just right at the beginning, you write function. So that's one way you do it. Sorry, .m files, or you can put it at the end of a .mlx file, which I'll show you. We'll probably do it mostly like that in here. But you write the word function. Then you rewrite the variable that you want to use for the output. Then you put the name of the function that you want, and then the variables that it reads in. And it can read in 100 variables if you wanted, right? Or it can read in one variable, right? Or it can read in a vector. It can read in a string. It can read in all different things, okay? And then when it runs the function, it will output whatever you named the variable output, right? And then it'll do the stuff on X. And keep in mind, any variable that you define, it'll only exist inside of the function, and it doesn't exist outside the function. I'll show an example of that in a second. So I'm gonna make this. You can follow along if you want. I'm gonna do this in MATLAB really quick. I'm gonna make a function that returns the squared of a vector. Okay.
And you're doing this in a not live script?
I'm gonna do this in a live script. I'm gonna do a live script. So here's my live script. Okay. And then, and it seems silly, right? It's a silly thing the function itself is pretty silly because it just squares a vector. But if you want to do it, so right away I just write function, right? And then look, it turns blue because it knows that this is a thing, right? So write function, okay? Then I name what the output is. I'll just call it result. It could be whatever you want, but I'm just going to call it result, okay? Is equal to, and I'm going to name the function squared, right? And it's going to read in a variable x. I can call it result. I can call it whatever I want to call it. It's just that's what's going to get returned when you call on it, okay? Is whatever variable I defined as result down below. And then it's just going to read in a variable x, and I can do whatever I want to with x when it comes in. Okay. And so what I want, I'm going to calculate result. I'm going to say result is equal to x dot to the second. Because it's going to square x that it brought in. Okay? And that's it. End. Okay, so now that is, and usually you put them at the end of your .mlx file. I'm going to define x. X is equal to 1 to 5. Right, so x is just going to return It's a vector 1 to 5. And then what I do is I just say squared x. Okay? And so when I do that, right, it takes the x that I fed it, right? So then it uses this function down below.
Interesting.
So it takes it, it squares the values, and then returns it.
And even if you only run this, if its functions are in a different section, it'll still call them.
Yep. Yep.
Why do you put it below? That seems,
I don't know. That's what I always do.
seems kind of weird.
What if I don't? So maybe it just has to be in there somewhere, Kayla. It works either place, as long as it's in there.
Okay.
I always put it at the bottom so it's out of the way.
Yeah, just so it's out of the
But it looks like, because you're right,
But I guess
because it reads from top to bottom, and you would
Yeah.
expect it to have to read in the function first, but I guess it's just smart enough and knows that.
I'm also thinking just for myself, it's like, oh, coded top to bottom.
Mhm.
But
However, like you said, if it's just a function that you don't like want to interrupt your code.
You have a bunch of other stuff going on,
If it's
for
like a
loops,
bit-
if statements, all this other stuff, and then you just, I'm going to use this thing, I'm going to put it, I'm going to put it down there, and then
And
just
then
know
when
it
you're
exists.
doing a
Stay
report, you don't
down.
even need to put it in the report. It just says like.
yeah.
Okay, and so then let me show you the other way too. We'll just go ahead and do that. I'm going to do it in a .m file just so you can say new script function result is equal to squared plus 1, something like that. And then I'm going to say, I'm going to read an x, or result is equal to x dot to the second plus 1. Just to show you a different example of it, right? So this is its own .m file, and then I'm going to save this, and then I'll make sure that it ends in this, it has to be in the current directory over here. Lecture examples, yep, and then it ends up being its own file. If you make it as a .m file, I'm just showing you two different ways to do it, right? And then I'm going to save that. I'm going to come back to this one over here, and then just say, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do squared plus 1 x. Oh, it gives it to me twice because I didn't do this. And then I'm going to hide it there. So I'm just showing you that if you can put it in its own .m file. See, so I did. I made it its own .m file, squared plus 1. I made sure it was in the local directory, and then when I run this, it looks in the local directory and it knows that there's another function out. It uses the function that I just
You
defined.
don't even need to tell it to look.
Don't have to look,
Actually,
yep, because as long as it'll look in the current directory. If I put it in someplace not the current directory, it'll say, I don't know what that is.
So it's just treating it as like another built-in function.
Yep.
Because when you call
Yep.
hi, it's calling it from some
Yep.
built-in place, but it just is. It also adds, hey, look in the current directory for other
Yes.
functions.
Yep.
What if you accidentally make another user-defined function with the same name in the same directory?
I don't think the operating system won't let you do that. In the same directory,
Oh,
it won't
say
let
there are two
Yeah,
files
you just
in
don't
But-
even realize there's a function of the same name.
That's right. But it will have, you can definitely have problems. And that's just, I don't think it gives you an error. Just be careful because you could definitely do it where you create one and then MATLAB already has one. And I don't know which one trumps which.
So check to make sure there's not a function already called that.
Correct. Because in the same directory, it wouldn't let you do it. But there could be like two conflicting. Or I could have one in a directory that my special directory that has my user-defined functions that MATLAB's looking. And I could create one in the local directory. I don't know which one it'll call. I'm not sure what their order of operation is and which one it grabs. So just be careful.
Or if it'll warn you.
Or if it'll warn you that there's two of these exist, right? Like I said, all functions are follow the same format. So like, what's an example? Max, for instance, right? If I open Max, you can open MATLAB's files. And so like open Max. So this is MATLAB's Max file, right? And so you can see it's just a .m file. See, it's just a .m file. And then it gives you the help stuff. And then, where's the code? Usually it shows you the code. Usually it just gives you the. It's just duh. It's the Max, duh. Yeah. What's another? What was the one we used last time? It was
Factorial.
factorial.
There's the code.
Yeah, there's the factorial has codes. I don't know why Max doesn't, but
Hey, that's the same code that you is in the notes.
is it? I don't know.
Interesting.
But you can see it all. You can't edit them though. It'll give you an error if you try fucking with their codes. Okay. I mean, it's like I said, these are super helpful. Either you have them as a .m file or you put them at the end of your .mlx. I think they work fine at the most of our stuff will work fine at the .mlx. Try this one. Create a function called myMax that takes in a vector and returns the maximum absolute value in this vector and its location. Like, where did you find it in that vector? Is it the first element, second element, third element? Okay, and do this with MATLAB using MATLAB's. Do this without using MATLAB's. Right, an easy way to do it is to use MATLAB's built-in one. But think about how you would do this. Right, how I would do it. Right, is I would maybe have like a for loop where you go in and say, hey, I'm gonna look at the first one. Is my first one bigger than the second one? And is it bigger than the third one? Is it bigger than the fourth one? Is it bigger than the fifth one? And if it is, then it's the max. If it's not, go to the next one and check to see if the next one is bigger than the other ones. And then if that's not, then it's not the max. And you go to the next one. Just think it through a little bit. It'll take a minute. All right, it's really hard to come up with these. Like just think about like how would I do this? How would I
So think about the math.
think of math?
Good question.
Yes, Joseph.
I'm trying to do that example that you showed, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, it doesn't let me run section or run. I was wondering if there's something I just missing. Like, seems right.
It's trying to do what? Sorry.
So I'm just trying to run it. In
Oh,
general.
yeah. So I that's a good point, Joseph. I see what you did. Don't do what Joseph did. No, just joking. But seriously, don't. So the file name. So if you make your own .ml or .m file with the function, it has to have the same file name as the function that you're calling. So see how mine is called squared plus 1? My file name is squared plus 1.
Okay.
And then you called it like user-defined function or something like that. If you called user-defined function of X, it should work.
So then, I did it again with that squared being the file name.
Wait, the file
Yeah.
name
File name has to be.
trumps the name,
Uh-huh.
the code.
Uh-huh.
So you can't make two user-defined functions in one code.
Correct.
So if you're gonna make one, just make its own file.
Yes.
So why would you put it at the bottom of your code?
Just if you're doing it, just because it's always there with it. Like if you're doing homeworks and stuff, and it's just always there, and you want to use it just for that script, then you would do that.
Oh, so
it'll
you
only
can't
work-
call it from.
You can't call it from somewhere
But
else.
you could call it from the title.
Yes.
That's so
Yes.
crazy.
In that case, like with this one,
That's
Yeah,
a
does that
good
work?
hot
save
tip.
data squared still does not.
Where at?
Just
You have to call on it first. So go back to this one, and then call. Like just delete all that stuff.
So
Delete it all. And then you have to call on it. So you have to say x at what x is equal to.
let's just do. So say like x equal to 2.
Yeah, 2. Yep. Yeah. Whatever. Yep. And now call
So then
squared.
so
You type yep squared. Yeah, of x. Yeah. And that should do it.
so then now this one should do it. You're saying.
No. It'll only do it here. It'll do it on the outside of the function. So now run this. Hit the run button. Right. Okay. Because it's doing it inside of that other function, but it doesn't give you any output. It just exists inside of there, and then when you come and you only use it outside of the function. So like out here, you're outside of the function, and you call this command squared, which actually runs this on it, and then it outputs the result from this. But you never actually see anything in there.
Interesting. So this is utilizing this.
Yeah,
file?
it's using that right there. So add something else. You could if you add, inside of here.
Okay.
You could type like
It's like-
display hello or something like that, and you'll show that it's doing it. So like, just next line, hit an enter, and then say DISP, and then but put in
The important stuff.
the syntax, just to show you that it is using this.
Okay.
Okay. And then save it. See, so it's doing the stuff inside. It's doing that stuff inside of it.
Okay, thank you.
Just to show you that what I just showed Joseph here, right? So when I call on the squared plus 1, right? It's running what's inside of this, right? It's running what's inside of this, and this is doing this stuff, and then it's just returning it. I could do, like, just to show you that it's calling on this, is I could go like this. I say display hello, right? And then if I come back over here and I call it, it should show, see how it shows hello when I call on it? Right? It's calling on that function, it's doing stuff inside that function, and then it's returning stuff to us. But really, anything you do inside that function, it could be many lines long, right? If for loop and everything else, it's doing that in there, and then it's just you don't ever see it. It's just happening behind the scenes. You don't ever see that it's happening. That isn't confusing enough. Yes, Kayla.
I gotta ask you something before. I haven't done this yet, but I was looking ahead at this, the leap year code.
Yeah.
And I'm confused by your leap year problem.
Okay.
Because I don't understand how it could, like, I feel like it's contradictory. If it's evenly divisible by 4 and not 100, or it's evenly divisible by 400.
I think that's written wrong.
Is
I
it
think
written
it's written
wrong?
wrong too.
From what I understand from the internet, it's evenly divisible by 4, or if it's evenly divisible by 100, it also has to be divisible by 400.
Exactly.
I think that's what because otherwise,
Did you
it's
write that?
always divisible by 4 and not 400,
Yeah.
or vice versa.
Yeah.
Maybe I've written it wrong. Maybe I've written it wrong.
The
But you get it.
both things can't be true.
Okay. Then correct it.
I wrote
Ask ChatGPT
But
for
yeah, I
it.
was like, this is contradictory.
Yeah, because
Okay, I could have written it wrong. Okay, I could have written it wrong. You ask ChatGPT to ask what it really
Because
is.
not every leap year is evenly divisible by 400. And that was the other, like, it's this, or it's evenly divisible by 400, but like 2024 is not.
But I think but then does it do, it just it skips every once in a while, but then it doesn't skip that 1 year if it's divisible by 400. Is that what it is? It skips a bunch, but if it's divisible by 4 or it's divisible by, but not divisible by 100, except if it's divisible by 400.
there's I think there's 3 ways it's divisible by 4, it's divisible by 400, or it's divisible by 100 and 400 simultaneously. I think those are the 3. But it's really weirdly.
Maybe I do not put it past me wording it incorrectly.
It's not.
Let me see what ChatGPT says.
Even means and it can also be divisible by 100 but not 4, and 100 but not 400. There's too many complications.
ChatGPT said Did I get all of it?
ChatGPT does not remember.
Leap year rules. A year is a leap year if it meets the following criteria. It's divisible by 4,
Okay.
except if it's divisible by 100, but not by 400. If a year is divisible by 100, it is not a leap year unless it's divisible by 400.
Well, then it's also divisible by 4.
Yeah.
So that's.
There's spots where there were certain years, but like
Yeah.
1900 I think was one of the examples where it's divisible by 100 and 400 but not 4.
But not 4.
There's some weird thing in there where
Divisible by 4. If a year is divisible by 4, it is a leap year, except divisible by 100, but not by 400.
Except it says 1900 is not a leap year, but you said 1900 is a leap year.
1900 is
You
a,
lie,
1900 is not a leap year.
according to ChatGPT.
2000 is a leap year because it's divisible by 400. 1900 is not a leap year because it's divisible by 100, but not by 400. 2024 is a leap year because it's divisible by 4, but not by 100. 2023 is a leap year, not divisible by 4. Not a leap year, not divisible by 4. I don't know. Figure it out.
I have a code and
Does it match?
Well, all I know is I went to Google and I found the last
code to figure out
10
if it was-
leap years, and I just
Yeah.
plugged them all in and made sure it
That worked? Okay.
identified
Yeah.
all of those. And that's what
So just-
So you didn't reword the problem.
I
you did it
I
based
did.
on-
I did. I just made sure it worked with all of the previous leap years and did it with years.
What about this? Can you say, give me a MATLAB code to calculate this? I have you spelled stuff wrong.
That's what I've
There we go.
been
There we go.
It's a function.
Here's leap. So the command they use is mod.
I use mod too.
Yeah, what mod does is it checks to see if there's a remainder, right? And if it's divisible by 4, then the remainder is 0, is what it does.
That's what I use.
If mod is year is equal to
that
4,
exact code line for line.
if mod year 100 equals 0, if mod year 400 equals 0, then it is a leap. Else, it's not a leap. Else, leap is true. Else, leap is false. Anyways.
It's a little different, but
Yeah, there's different ways to do it. There's different ways to do it.
I used rem as a command.
Remainder. Yeah.
isn't it basically the same?
Same thing. Yep.
Same thing. I
Yep.
just like the way it works better. I tried both.
Okay.
Go through and look up.
Maybe try to do that next one, right? Try to do it for a little bit.
True.
Are you doing it, Gavin? Trying to do the my max. Try to do my max.
Yeah.
Leap years are
Back
also
to the original
presidential
goal.
elections.
What's that?
Leap years are also presidential elections.
Because the 4.
I don't know. It's just
Okay,
yeah,
so
they
here's
just
the
fall the
question.
same year.
Is another way of doing this just going through and finding a file that continuously updates with all the leap years and linking it into MATLAB?
So you're just gonna get a
Does
list
not
of values
actually-
if this true.
Technically,
else
you
false.
could do like a pre-calculation and compiling of days, and it's just a big if statement. Is it this?
If this-
No. Yes. Is it this? No.
Else
Is it
no.
this?
Yeah,
No.
could you like pull a table in of leap years?
You could. That's what he was saying. Yeah. You bring in a table and look it up. Yep. So try the my max. I'm gonna try the my max too. Gavin, are you trying it?
Why are you doing this to me?
That would be good.
I'm really thinking about this.
Me too. It's hard. It's really hard. Sometimes you just gotta try it. You just gotta dive in, start trying some shit. I mean, dude, I don't know how to do it either. You know who does know how to do it? It's ChatGPT. But I would have tried to get you to someday go to that. But right now, I really want you to like struggle with it a little bit yourself.
Could you do the same thing like where you have 1 to length x for the comparison, but like checks all of them inside the comparison, or is that going to create some sort of issue in the loop? Like, could you have that whole vector in the inequality?
Oh, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You could. You don't have to check every element. You could check. Yeah. You could probably do this. You probably don't have to do the double loop. You could probably just do the single loop. X. Hold on. I don't know. I'm playing.
Like, well, I don't know if it would create an infinite loop of vector.
I'm gonna see. I'm just messing around with it a little bit. Start playing. See what it does. What I just did right there. See what I did? I just did a loop and I looked to see. It's too ordered. I don't like this order thing. I'm just doing a check thing. I don't like to do this. I don't like doing what you're doing. I'm gonna go back to my original plan.
You just have redundant for loops there. Like your I and your J are the,
Oh, yeah.
are the exact same call out
Yeah, yeah. For J equals 1 to length of that.
of X, not length of Y.
I'm missing an end. Oh, length of X. Length of X. I want them both to go the sit loop through all of them. Oh, I'm missing an end. I don't know if this works. I'm just playing to. Uh-oh. Oh.
Change it to like an irregular.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Does it work?
Yeah, it works.
It's cheeky.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep. Huh?
This is way more advanced.
It's advanced. This is advanced.
1 4 loop.
Oh god.
Getting there.
Oh, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. I don't think it works for negative numbers. No, because it wants the max absolute value, which I didn't do, but I'm just proud of myself that I got this. Because it should still return an 8, but it's going to return. It's not, oh, wait, no,
No, that's gonna return a 5.
It should return a 5, but it doesn't because I've done something wrong.
Well, not necessarily.
The max should be 5.
Yeah. But is it getting stuck between -8 and 0? Like it can't.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's an asymptote at 0, and it gets stuck on one.
Yeah, it is doing something like that. It doesn't like the negative number. Oh, nope. No. Hmm? Right?
Actually, is this thing? No, hold on. Like, let's say if only in order and it's just immediately pulling 1 at the point.
Oh no, it's okay as long as 1 is bigger than the one right next to it is what it's doing.
Store it as the max, but then if it's not,
Mhm.
it doesn't store it.
Mhm.
It takes to the next
And then it goes to the next one and it doesn't do it.
Well, you could do throw an absolute value function around in your if statement. Do ABS on both of those guys.
Yeah, but I still think it still won't fix my.
Sorry, I'm yapping a lot here.
See, it's not fixing my. It may fix the -8 thing, but why is it? Is it because it's doing the very first one? It's comparing 150 to 150. Yeah, and then it should come out that 150 is the max, and then it's going around.
Well, it's comparing. I and J are the same, so it's comparing the same value to itself, right? right?
Yeah, but I just get hung up with.
Can you,
God, I'm so proud of myself.
Is there a way to say J starts one later than the vector?
2 to the length of. No, but then you want everything except for the J that you're looking at. But even then, I'm trying to think here. What's it doing?
Right, but I'm saying, can you shift it so the I vector starts at the first vector number, and the J one starts at like the second. So in your case, I starts at 150 and J is at 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it compares those two sectors.
And
Although
then-
it probably just gets done.
And then
Mhm.
and then initialize MX as the first value.
You try it. You guys try this. I'm not doing it. You try it. See what you got, Bryce, huh?
Well, I'll steal what you have right now and I'll mess with it.
Dude, try it. Yeah, try it. It's getting hung up with that 150 at the beginning. It does all right with that one. Yeah, see, it's not doing that either. It doesn't like the 150. So you can do this thing inside your code. You can type the word command or the command pause, and what it'll do is it'll pause, and it'll wait for you to look at stuff. So if I run, let me just run this again really quick. Right. So it starts out and compares. So this is I'm showing what x of I is and what x of j is, and they're both 0 right now. Right. And I hit enter again. I should run it a second time. It doesn't do it that way. Why doesn't it do that way? You can't do pauses inside of a.
I think I know what your problem is.
What'd I do?
Just throw an else in there. And just have it store as x of j instead of x of
Right here.
I think.
Else
Right, 'cause it's only-
mx is equal to x of j. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, I see.
I don't know if that'll fix it, but it's something.
You're right. I don't do anything with that.
Didn't work.
No, it was paused. I didn't hide anything. Nope, that didn't work either.
It's your end answer, it's just a very long and wrong answer.
It gives me an answer, but it's a very long way to get to the wrong answer. Why is it doing?
The right answer's in there.
Okay, look at x and j. No, that ain't gonna work. I go. It finds a new max each time. This is dumb. This is dumb. All right, give me a help. Okay. You keep working. You keep working. I think I got. I know. I brag about myself all the time, and then.
I thought you just spent your, you didn't even see this morning.
Yeah. I spent my morning making rap. I made rap songs when I did this morning.
Did you play it for Sam?
I played for Tim. He wasn't as impressed as I was hoping.
Sitting all down totally from Mike's office.
Really?
Yeah. He was just walking down the hallway and heard a rap about audio systems.
You want to say, hey, are you bigger than this guy? Yeah. I'm better. We're doing this. Is all we're doing today. All we're doing today is trying to get this. Elliot, you got it working? Yeah, me neither, man. I got an idea. I'm gonna play with this here. Yeah, I didn't do crazy.
For real. Here's my suggestion. Just put a max function.
Yeah, I know.
I tried, but the max code isn't there.
You don't have it.
That's the first thing I was gonna do,
No.
is to copy and paste that in.
Well, just see how they initialize. Because it has to do with something. It has to do with this somehow.
What was that one?
Really? How did it do it?
Yeah.
That's not. That's all right.
You guys just want to see that. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I got it. I got it. Oh, I got it.
I don't believe you.
We were doing way harder than I was doing. I was making it too hard.
Does it still hold if 195 is the first value?
Let's see.
You're so right.
200.
So right. I see.
Yeah, it does.
Put a negative in there.
Hey, well, that won't do. I didn't account for that yet. I can. I can put absolute values. I changed. It's way easier than I thought it was. I shouldn't have been drinking before class.
You
I'm just joking. I didn't drink. Remember, there's what's that?
Talking about ways to get fired on Monday.
Yeah, I know.
He's not drinking in class?
Yeah, I was in. What's that? We're not drinking in class, is that right? Yeah. I don't know if there's a rule about. Probably a rule about not coming to class drunk. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's a rule.
Is that real fast?
Or my other class, we were talking about importance factors, just right before this, and I was talking about how, like certain buildings are more important than other buildings, right? Depending upon how many people they have. And they said, and what kind of people they have. And I was like, oh shit, not what kind of people. That's not what I meant. I meant because they had talked about City Hall and that was important. I was like, well, with politicians, I meant politicians, but it could have been taken as a racial slur, right? What kind of people in there? I was like, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. I did not mean that way. Okay.
You literally just need to add absolute value around your xi on both of them and it works.
The ABS right here.
Yeah.
Both times?
On both of them. Like,
And this.
if you just leave it on this one, it'll respond to negative value.
Oh, yeah.
Even if the largest negative value, this one will make it a positive. So if you change that 200 to negative, it should still reply as positive 200.
A lot of people did do
Well, there's substantial.
There we go.
risk of human life.
Okay.
What is that 80 people?
Yeah, exactly. It's very ambiguous.
Depends what kind of people.
Yeah, we're kind of people is what I said. I was like, shit, that's not absolutely not what I meant.
we could fix that code pretty easily. You just make 4 buildings and you say how many people would go in each building. You list all the factors.
What kind of
Show all the engineering calcs for each building and say which one would you go in.
Yeah.
And see how the distribution.
All right. Let's look at my max. Ready there, CRO? You ready? Okay. So what I did, and this makes way more sense, way easier, right? I said I just start out with like a champion. MX is my champion, right? So I got to initialize MX. I say MX is equal to 0. So I start out, there's my champion. 0 is my champion, right? And then I say 4, I equals 1 to the length of x, so it's going to step through every single x that I have. And then it goes, all right, is my x the absolute value? We have the absolute value. Is my absolute value of my x greater than mx, my champion, right? And in this case, it should be, right? So it absolutely is. So my new champion is that one that I just checked, right? So that's my new champion is the one that I just checked. And now it goes back. So in this case, my new champion was 200, and then it goes through and it loops through again, and it goes through every other element and looks to see if it's bigger than that max. And if it is bigger than max, it replaces it and becomes the new champion. It's like a king of the hill. It's a king of the hill, right? Who's winning in this case? And so that was it. I don't know what I was doing before. That was dumb. That was dumb. But see, that's how a lot of coding works. It's because I'm missing my Red Bull and my headphones. I would have gotten it right away if I had headphones and what?
Your prompt also asks us to tell the position that it's in.
Oh, the position that it in. Okay, so then that would be I and x is equal to I. right? It'll update where the location is. Is that what it would do, right? And so over here, by the way, it returns both of those things, right? So I need to return to it mx and inx. So that's what it's gonna.
I think this what you're doing here is just gonna do the end at I. It's gonna do the length, the entire length of the thing, because I is gonna move past our max.
But it'll only go in there when that happens. It's in that if statement. It's only gonna go in there if it does that, right? So then by the so it's returning two elements, the mx and the inx, the index, and so you have to put it in there in the square braces. So then I have to catch them both out here. Now mx is equal to or mx and nx. You have to catch both of those things. Right? And I'll say this. Let's make that not be the one anymore. Let's make that
What do you mean by catching it? So in your I see.
on the outside. You got to catch it. So this is what should give me. Yeah, the 195, and it's the fourth element. You see what I'm catching it? You see what I mean by catching it? Yeah.
Because otherwise my max it doesn't know how to shoot out multiple variables.
Yeah.
To show tell
Yep.
it what variables you
Yep,
want
you got to
from.
catch both of them. Yep.
And if I just put inx, then it'll just give me the inx, even though it's running both of them, right?
Nope.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh no, no.
No, it won't do
doesn't
that.
know what it's doing.
Yeah, it doesn't know what it's doing. It's just so this is what my comment before about how stuff inside the function is different than the stuff outside the function, right? So like just to give you an example, if I make a new variable and say,
Oh, that's sick.
dummy is equal to 7, like inside the function, right? And I run that, and up here if I say what's dummy, it doesn't know. Unrecognizable function dummy. It doesn't know what it is because dummy exists inside the function, but it doesn't exist outside the function.
Also like these here, mx and inx, that's what like your function outputs.
Yeah.
So here you can change.
You can make whatever you want. Yep.
This variable could be like q and p.
Q and P.
And
That's
it'll-
right.
It'll make
Yep.
mx.
Yep.
and-
That's right. It just catches it. You on the outside, you get to define what those variables are. They don't have to match.
I've noticed that like when I like do the help for code, I'm like, what's RC?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yep. It's just a local variable defined in there. So I always say this about coding. Either you really like it or you really fucking hate it. So I think some of you may be deciding what kind you are right now, right? What type of person you are right now. Sometimes you love it, but you're not good at it, which makes you hate it. Which is
You're building a function and you're building a
ends
vector,
up
but
in
now
the
you can take this
same-
function
ends up in the
and
same place,
you are writing an
right?
equation that is a
Like, yeah.
that is going to give you
I mean, you start seeing like the power of this. You can do so much shit with this stuff. It's so cool.
because it is the force inside of my
How are you guys doing over here?
and so I'm gonna run my max function, it's gonna pull the max from that value, and that's what I'm gonna. So this can also be changed.
If you put my max in your own
It can represent a function.
Yeah, see, that's right. Yeah, I like it.
If you write a polynomial
Right, it
store
runs a lot
vector,
smoother
this
like
could be
that.
an unknown vector.
Yeah.
I could say, hey, hey Joe, I have
Know what
data,
it is?
and I want to know what the max value is. You don't know what my data is, but I want to know the max value of my data and where it's located.
See,
And you say,
alright.
oh, I wrote a function.
Yeah.
So this is just theory crafting to show that our function works. Right? But
Yeah,
in
okay,
theory,
yeah, perfect.
you're not going to know
Yeah, and you should be able to do that.
in the vector, or it's going to be super, super long. Or
Yeah, absolutely. As long as it's in the same folder that this file is.
So INX, so like
Yep, then it should just work just fine.
It'll give me 3 this
Try.
answer.
But yes, it would.
Line two, column
Make
nine.
it, or make that two
Right
by two,
to it.
right?
Oh yeah.
And the vector thing, like when we are doing the plot
Inside
function,
your.
it's
That'll be
those are
outside.
vectors.
Yep, sorry.
Right, because it's taking
X
two as a vector,
equals
plugging it
is
into my
outside.
function, and then it's giving you this like sine wave.
Like your teacher.
So if I want to like put the force on a beam, and I want to know where the max is, that's what. Even,
This will be able to tell us numerically.
or you could just use the max function. But in theory, right, that's like you can make functions that would do stuff that you don't want to do. This is the max.
Oh, it has to be a
Makes sense.
file.
I'm going.
Like, I think it would be really hard to make for an argument for flow.
Oh, so this has.
It has to be a value. Either you put it at the bottom or it has to be a value. Yeah, try that, see if that helps it. Because maybe it can't be a line strip you call, that might be what it is. It's not a problem.
I want to understand how it works, but my mind is not working.
This.
Yeah.
Ask me tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good.
So one thing you could do, this is what I was saying before about how you kind of like, you can print the stuff out and step through it like line by line and see if it works or not.
Okay.
If you, and so you can just say, oh, let's, and then you can say, oh,
So is it
let me try that.
I don't know. Because I just hit run and then MATLAB's good enough that it tells me where.
Yeah, it does tell you where errors are at. Right, right.
So, I'm just super dumb.
Creating terms.
Exactly.
What's happening?
Yeah, I guess. Just like, how did you say again that it was grabbing it? It was just like competing with the number next to it?
So basically, what it's doing, right? What this function is doing is you have we're looking for mx, right? We're looking for the largest mx inside of this vector, right? So mx starts out at 0, and what it's doing is we're looking for the largest mx in the function. So we go to a for loop. So for
Which is
I
way
is
less
the
than
length of sort of this
Yeah.
any length vector, and it's gonna set through each and every piece.
We
of
also
all
don't
the
know
spaces.
that.
We're looking at if the absolute value of x at length y, so that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this can go to 7, if it's greater than the max, which is already stored, then store absolute value of xi as max. So that's saying we're starting at 0. If 0 is greater than 0, store. It's not, so we move on. If 5 is greater than 0, store. Now our mx up here becomes 5. We move on to 10. And saying, hey, if is 10 greater than 5, I'll store it. If this was 2, it says don't store it, keep 5 as 5.
Oh,
and do
then,
that.
yeah.
Oh, gotcha. So
Right.
if you jump over
Then it'll be fine, right? If it's smaller, it says, oh, it's smaller, don't store it, let's move on. And this mx stays as 5. And now we say, okay, is 5 greater than 15? No, it's not, let's store 15 instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So that's all
it
it's
does.
doing, is moving it along the line.
Okay, that makes sense.
And when, and the INX is when MX gets stored, we also store the position I as an X.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
okay.
if MX never gets updated, then I also doesn't get updated.
Okay.
Right? So that stores the position that it just
On the due date
Okay.
is on time, Sean.
You ever eat chalk?
That
Guys,
they
guys
might
eating
have
carbonate.
my answer this time. Might mean that they caught
So let me show you this too, just for like debugging. If for some reason you can't decide, so it only works with the .m. It doesn't work if for some reason when you put it in the .mlx file. But I put it in as a .m, called it my max, and then it's the same exact code as I had before. But this time I just have it display what x of I is and mx is, just so I can see what it is, right? And then I just inside my thing, if the new value is bigger than mx, I say display new max, and then I show what these things are, and then afterwards I put a command pause, and so pause waits for you to look at it. So if I come back to when I call on it right here, I should go like this and say, right? And so it's paused at this point. So it's comparing -50 to 0, and since the absolute value is greater than that old max, it has a new max. It sets the new max to 50. And then you hit enter. You go down to the command and you hit enter again, and it runs another loop, right? So then now it checks to see is 50 greater than, or it's 2 greater than 50. It's not. So then we hit enter again. It goes to the next loop, and it says, all right, is my 50 greater than 150, or is 150 greater than 50?
Yes.
It is, so we got a new max. The new max is 150. And then we run it again. Now it checks to see is 195 greater than 150. It is, so we have a new max, right? And so then and then you could step through. Every time you hit enter, it runs another loop. So that sometimes is really helpful if you ever get hung up on something. It's like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't know where, I have an error in my code someplace. Putting in a little pause like that can be super helpful. And then you could even, if you want, you could even put like seconds on here. If I say pause 1, it'll wait
Just
1.
for a .m file?
.m files. I couldn't get it to work. It'll work. Pause in general will work, but with the .mlx file, it's different because it's just like it shows you as you're going, and you don't get to see like all the loops.
If you had pause 1 and then run it,
Then it'll pause 1 second in between each one of these things.
So can
So, yeah.
oh, that's good.
Right. So it just like waits a second each time. Where that's helpful is like if you're ever animating stuff and it's going by too fast, you could speed it up or slow it down with pauses and stuff. So, all right.
You were right. That did take most of the class.
I did, yep. We're not going to modify the leap year code because we haven't come to conclusion what the best leap year code is. Create a function. Hey, you'll get to do this is in your homework. Create a function. Takes an integer n. Implement a guessing game where MATLAB randomly generates an integer between 0 and 10. And the user has to guess what the number is using an input command. This program should keep running until the user guesses the correct number. The programmer should keep track of how many. Oh, look, I'm gonna try that one. You try that one. You want to try that one, Sean?
Sure. Now, here's your
Number
question.
13, yeah.
Should you put something in there that stops, because otherwise, with the way that works, it chooses a random number. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, but then just keep track how quickly you could guess. You could make it say lower or higher. You could add in that.
But my point is, like, if that function is just constantly running, and you're just adding an input, you can go 1 to 10 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So do you put like a timeout of 4?
That's
guesses
before.
max?
Yeah, or just you get made fun of. It takes 10 guesses to guess the one number, right? Like it'll keep track of that. But you're right. You could add whatever you want to it. Try it right now. This is not a user-defined function though. This is just. Boy, I really gave it to him last time. These are pretty tough problems to do.
You must have smarter kids.
I must have. I absolutely must have. Look at this one. Look at problem 14.
Really?
Too long not doing it.
Like, what happened?
I don't know.
I missed my
They're way
class.
smarter than you guys, I guess, right?
You're literally
Who's
making
they?
them create a program for Riemann sums. That's great.
That'd be fun to do. I think it'd be fun.
We went from 0 to 100 really fast.
Okay. Well, hold on. Let me at least show you. Let me at least show you this. Like I said before, you could store your user-defined functions someplace, and you have to tell it like where to go find those things, and that's what the set path is. Under home, you get set path, and you can add places to store some things. Right? You can add folders that it will always check. So if you had like a function that you would always call on over and over and over, then you could go put it in a folder and then add that to the path so it always knows where to look for it. Right?
What's this YouTube link?
I don't know. I'm a little worried to click on it.
Write these notes.
I did, but it was several years ago. Let's see. Fingers crossed.
The number of different ways
Oh!
52
Ah, it was that. I thought I was new. That's how simple I am. I already showed people this.
That's actually great. Young bee sauce is so funny.
Try the game. Implement a guess it game. Where MATLAB randomly generates an integer between 0 and 10. You can apply some things. What input was, I think it asks you for a command. Let's look and see what input does.
How do you get it to open the line? You usually open input.
I don't know how to.
Oh, sick.
How's it work? Help input. Yeah, x equals input. Oh, you got your prompt. Enter a number. All right, down there, ask me that. Number between 1 and 10. 1. So now x should be equal to 1. Okay. Random. Random, assuming, is the command for random. Between 0 and 1. Random integer. want that.
Yeah, but I have to make.
It's not in range.
Rand gives you a number between 0 and 1. Rand I. Rand I.
Randy.
Randy.
Huh?
And I'm at.
Yes, like, in the middle.
Does it include 0 already?
Or is it just 1 and 10? Might be just between 1 and 10.
Inputs.
I don't know if it's gonna like it like this. By the way, when you're typing like if statements and for loops and stuff like that, if for some reason like the indentation gets off, in on a Mac you hit Command I. Like for instance, like if this else is like over here, if else is like over to the side like that, and it's not like nested properly, if you right click on it, there should be a thing that says Smart Indent, and then it like nests it right.
So you're saying if some of us like it just
All to the left. You shouldn't do that. It's nice to have it like indented so you know the leveling that's happened.
I understand that, but I just that's not hard. You just wait for the exclamation point goes away that tells you don't have enough ends.
Yeah. Fair.
It's really not hard because it just moves down.
What did you say you do, Mike? You right click?
Huh?
You right click for that?
Yeah, you right click on it. Or on a Mac you hit Command I.
Smart indent?
Yeah, Smart Indent. Or Command I is like a way to do it on the Mac.
Oh.
I think it might be Control I maybe on a stupid Windows computer.
What do you mean function definition? I'm not working on the function right now.
No, that didn't work. Nice. Nailed it. Did you witness that? Yeah. I got it. I got it on the 9th try.
How would I save my random so it doesn't change each time I do it?
I'll put it outside the loop.
Mine is outside.
Oh yes, it'll change every time. Yeah, I mean every time you run it, it's gonna change. Or you just run it once. Well, then it's not random if it's the same number every time. No, we just
Well,
try
I mean,
it out.
If you're trying to a different number to get it to make it match.
Oh, so on mine, yeah. So on mine,
I had just had 3,
and then I just didn't change anything, ran it again, and then it wasn't.
Oh, yeah. So I have, the way I got it, because you're going to want to run a loop. That's maybe what you're missing is the loop, Noah. See how I did it? Right? I define what my random number is out here, right? And then I come in and I do a loop. I did this a while loop. And then I ask for an input, and then random is stored every time. It's the same store. It's outside my loop. And so when I'm inside guessing, it never runs this again. And so it's staying that way. So if you wanted to do it and like hit input you just got to put it in a loop. Just put it in a for loop or something like that. Give yourself like 10. I did mine with a while loop, but you could do yours with like a for loop or something. Just like run through it 10 times. If you can't guess it in 10 times, then does that make sense? Because you wanted to generate the thing and then go inside of a loop and then ask you for the input each time.
Wait, dang minute.
I mean, it's a silly game. I'll try mine again.
Could be guessing for a long time.
Wow. Oh, this is.
I got a second try. Second try, bitches. I got it 7. Got it a second try. So yeah, it's a little silly of a game. It's a dumb game. It's a dumb game. Did you get it to work? I did mine with the while loop. Right? I said, I set my random number. I start my counter because I do mine with the while loop, and then it'll break out of the while loop when I guess it right. It says x is equal to input number between 1 and 10, and so I enter it. And then if I get it right, if x is equal to that random number, it displays u in, and then that break kicks me out of the while loop. That break does that I put in there when I was correct. Else, it just increases the counter, so I've kept track of the counter each time. And so I should be able to see. Yeah, 2 guesses. 2 guesses. I won in 2 guesses.
I'm getting the same error code and I don't know what it's from.
It doesn't like this. This is goes at the end, is what it's telling you.
Oh,
So
it can be all.
Kay, like, it has to be at the end.
What
She's
does-
getting the function definition. Because she's getting an error that says that function has to exist out at the bottom, right? It says function definitions in a script must appear at the end. So if you copy that function and put it at the bottom, that should work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which function?
You know, you're asking about if you make a user-defined function inside of a script, it has to be at the bottom. She had it up in the middle someplace, and then it was telling her she can't do that.
For the game?
No, just she had it all in one script
I'm
file.
only
Like,
running like run section.
yeah, but still, it sees it there. I think it must see it there. Yeah.
Wait, dang
Is there a way to get it to
Yes, Elliot.
change the random number if you have it in its own like function file thing? Like I have it set up, and then every time I run it, so I have it in here and it works, but it just gives me a different.
Yeah, if it's in there, every time you call on it,
It's gonna run
it's going to run
again.
it again, right? If you can take the random number generator value out of that,
Oh, and then
and then it'll be an input into it. That's what you do. So you're when you call on this function, it'll take in 2 arguments. It'll take in your guess and it'll take in what the answer is,
Oh,
right?
so make it instead of defining the random value
Here, you'll do it there.
you just make it
Yep.
an input instead.
Yep, it'll come in as an input. So then
So
it's
then every
generated
time I run
outside.
that, won't it redo it, or I just have to run the line below?
You have to run the line. Say again.
Like, but then if it's out here, every time I run through that command here, it's
It's
gonna reset.
gonna redo it, yeah.
So you just have to do it
Yeah.
from below.
Yeah, like how I put mine where it's all my guesses are happening inside. My guesses are happening inside a while loop after I've defined them.
The thing for
So that while is a
Oh, you could put 10 as a value.
Yep.
Arbitrary time.
Yep. Yep. And just keep track of each time. It'll increment every time I put in a guess. I mean, a better game would be.
See, the 10,000 guesses to guess. Well,
Yeah, I have 10,000. The way I set it up is I gave myself 10,000.
You should make the exam just playing that game.
Yeah, just play. You get 10,000 guesses to guess a number between 1 and 10. That doesn't change, right? You could make it fancier, and why don't you modify your code, Sean, and make it tell you if you're high or low?
higher, lower. Ever.
Programming's neat. Connor, when you program for Tim's class today, you can use if else statements. Because I use them in Excel when you're checking min steal and 4/3 AGG, and then it would give you the amount of steal that you actually need because it's checking like 3 different if else's. Isn't that sick? It's pretty sick, man. Concrete. Just wait. You already had instructions too, but just wait.
I won my
It's great
game.
stuff.
Yeah, it's way simpler. It's nice and easy.
Huh?
I mean, it gets way simpler. So
Yeah.
it's nice and easy.
Light work. You're gonna be in steel next semester, which is like the best.
But it doesn't actually.
Wait, you tapped Tim Laha.
Hey, Mike.
Truth. Everything else is useless.
1 second.
Doesn't work. What do we do? When concrete doesn't do the work, what do? Throw some steel in there.
Animation room fall over.
I just want, you gotta see if I got
Steel in it.
see if I can do that.
Yeah.
One.
Grout. It's grout in masonry.
Oh, what the hell? Oh, you're too low.
And mortar, grout and mortar.
Concrete without
7,
Yeah.
3.
6,
High slump concrete is.
5, 4. You had! It took you 5 guesses. Hell yeah, look what I programmed. I did it. It says higher, it says you're too high, you're too low, you're too high or too low. I like you higher, lower. Like higher, lower. I should have done that way, but I said you're too high, you're too low, and then they get the end.
You're too high, huh?
Yeah, too high.
That's you drinking for us over there.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you clear this stuff out? What command is it?
Well, it only runs it after you run this, and so you just if you put whatever is over here is something that's being displayed here,
Yeah.
just put semicolons after those things that are being shared, and then hit run. Or if you hit this thing, Gavin, hit that thing, and it'll put it below, and you can see where it actually came from, and so you can see that they come from that. So if you don't want them there, put a semicolon after wherever that's being generated from.
Okay, that makes sense.
That cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. That's all I had. Did you get it to work? Did anybody else get the? You're too high. You're too low. You're too high. Yeah, you're doing it, John.
No, even though I already have it done in Excel, I kind of want to build this thing and
Hell yeah.
that I'm telling you. But that's such a waste of my time. I already have it all done.
People like it's fun.
Yeah, but it's.
Okay, maybe once I like.
That's how you relax.
See how you get it?
When you're done with homework, sit down with MATLAB.
I'm not- I'm somewhat normal, alright?
It's right, that's it, absolutely. Right, that's
I
what
wonder.
Cody's about.
I wonder if I feed ChatGPT an Excel file with all of my functions and say, "Hey, I would like a MATLAB code that redoes this."
I bet it would do it.
You bet it would.
I bet it would do it. Or it
I
would.
bet it at least set it
Do you
up
think it can
like close.
I bet it can read in Excel.
And read like the functions within each cell.
I bet it could do it.
Ooh, that'd be sick.
Do you have page?
Let me know if it does
I
it.
don't, but my friend does.
Try DeepSeek.
Yeah.
Upload it to DeepSeek and say,
Stuff like we do with pictures.
not letting you.
It's gonna get stolen.
It's rude.
Yeah.
And then I asked it, and it just said we don't
You like
support
China?
pictures right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got you hooked. I will say too, by the way,
Google
through the university, you have access to Copilot. Paid Copilot, which is Microsoft, but it calls on ChatGPT. And then if you download the Copilot app, you log in with your MSU Net ID credentials, and then it opens up the free version of it. I don't ever use it, but
Snitch on us for cheating on homework.
it goes right to us. It goes right to us. It's like.
That looks like a homework.
Like I told you before, I asked it to give me a solution to something once. He goes, "That's unethical," and I was like, "Did I say that this was a solution? I meant that this was just a practice exam." And it goes, "Okay," and they gave me a solution. So.